Hey guys, what's going on? Y'all doing alright? Huh? Hope y'all doing good. I'm trying to get this little light situated for my notes here. I want to go over the couple of things with y'all guys on the Idaho 4 case, which we know November 13th, 2022. We have a suspect, Bryan Christopher Kohlberger, the age of 28 at the time of his arrest in December. 1 month, roughly 1 month, and a little bit after the unaliving of 4 college students in Moscow, Idaho. It was Kaylee and Maddie and Ethan and Xana. And I want to talk about a few things because this case is all over everywhere, right? And there's been speculation from the start of this, but that's not what I want to talk about. What I want to talk about is the affidavit, a preliminary affidavit, the one that came in the front, like right after they were called, right? And they went through the scene. They made their report of what they needed, what warrants they needed, everything, right? They were requesting, right, what they needed. Well, they based that on evidences of findings and what they found at the crime scene to produce what warrants they need, right? Then they continue to go further as then when the suspect comes into play, things like that, right? Then they get more warrants and they do more things. But in the very beginning of all this, there's a couple of things that are really stood out to me when I watched this. This just came out around probably 36 hours ago. And it was on the interview room. Shout out to him. I love that show. I do. I don't get a lot of chances to watch it, but I was already doing some research on the Idaho 4 for an updated new video that I planned on doing anyway tonight. And I was really shocked when I read this because we knew a few things about it, right? We knew that Kaylee's dad, Steve Gongalves, spoke to the media a while back several times. I mean, he's a man. I call him Superman, right? He's a man of steel. That's what I call him. Because how he's held everyone together, right? And I feel that he's done an amazing job. And he, in one of the interviews, when he talked about the Blue Smurfy and things like that, he only slipped that for a little bit. So the Wi-Fi had picked up the vehicle, remember, and things like that. But then he also showed the man on the interview room some messages on Kaylee's DM and social media, Instagram, I don't know, some of her social media, and showed a lot of that he was reaching out to her quite a bit. So one thing we know was that Bryan was very tech smart, right? Like he even wanted to train the police, remember? That was one of his things, is he had applied to train them on how to catch people with, the new technology and data and social media and how your TVs can be used as tools. That because people use TVs now with smart apps and all this Wi-Fi, and they have their internet connections and all that on your smart TVs now. You can set up cameras for someone and use those cameras and passcode to put them on your TV if they're close enough, right? So you can utilize these things to spy on people, which we know now that he had helped a young lady, but had to help her with passcodes and all that. So he knew all her information, right? He knew how to get into hers. Then there was a story once that came about how someone at that house, car was broken into, but prior to November 13th. I think it had been a while prior, maybe 6 months or so. I don't remember. And he might not have been in the area at the time, but she had some underwear stolen out of her car, and that was the only thing stolen. A lot of people are speculating that he was doing that to try to set up cameras for people so he could spy on them, basically, right? And like I always said, I wondered how he was staking out that house besides sitting there 12 different times, most of them all late at night. He's not going to be able to explain that, I know, because that's phone data and car information, right? They're going to have both on that. And they know he was close enough to hook up to Kaylee's Wi-Fi quite a few of those times as well. But I want to say, before I say this, I want to say allegedly this is my opinion. This is my free speech. These are my theories on what I think happened. Take it as a grain of salt, right? Don't take it as fact. Some of the things I am going to discuss are facts. I can actually say that for once, is because they are in the affidavit. So this is basically saying what's straight out of the affidavit, and a couple of these things I want to talk about. And a lot of this is in the affidavit, but y'all know what was found, what was seized, all this stuff. Y'all know the majority of all of that. Y'all know that he would apply to the police department in Pullman to try to help them. He supposedly trained the police, right? He was trying to get on the inside of this so he could really be a Ted Bundy without getting caught, right? But how many people was he spying on? I don't know. He might have been doing this since he was 16. I have no idea. I know some of this stuff goes back to he was 16. That's when he was at a point in his life where he said when he hugged his father, he didn't feel nothing. He always felt like a piece of meat. And I'm wondering if that's why he was vegan, right? Like, maybe he was so mad at himself and felt so bad for himself and felt like such a bad piece of dead meat, trigger warning, that he became vegan. Possible. But, trigger warning times 100 million in this stuff. And don't forget my big alleged bubble. But one thing I want to say first off is we know whenever this happened, right? We know that the car was seen on surveillance. The noises were heard. The dog barks at 417, then barked again a little before that. Then we know a lot of stuff was going on. We know DM was asleep and was woke up and then peeked out her door 3 different times. The third time is when she heard Xana crying and then saw someone leaving. So a lot of people didn't really think about in that, and a lot of y'all might have, is that if she was still crying when he was walking out the door, then Xana was not completely gone yet. And were they all yet? I don't know, right? A lot of this has always been speculation. But, she changed her story a few times. Not a lot, but I think it's more or less because of how she froze. That if you go back and they play the original version of what she told them, they have it recorded. That's what I think came out, right? She thought she heard this. She thought she heard that. We know she had been drinking. We know, but she was already asleep. And, people get startled. People get scared. We don't know how we react, right? And I know she's taking a lot of heat for that, and she shouldn't have, because the way she explained what she saw when she said she saw a man in a hospital mask, right? A lot of people think it was a ski mask, but she did say surgical mask, like hospital mask, which we know they use in criminal justice world. They use a lot of those black latex gloves in the classroom of experiment. They use a lot of swabs. They use all the things that he had, they used. He did have ski masks, though. And he did have a headlamp. He did have a few of those things. I want to show you how that works in a little while tonight, too. Don't let me forget. But some of the things, he had one glove at his apartment. One glove was found at the crime scene outside. So I always thought he left in a hurry, trying to put him in his pocket, take him off so he didn't get it in his car, and he dropped it. That's what I've always thought. And being contaminated, you wouldn't really know. It would just show male. It could have been him and Ethan's mixed together, right? And that would have basically made it unknown male, but not be enough to identify because it was mixed with them too. We know Murphy might have saved the day in this, right? If that dog hair comes back to Murphy, that's jackpot, which I already think they have a jackpot anyway, but I'll explain that later on in the video why I feel that they already have the jackpot. But I think this one is the bigger jackpot, what I'm fixing to talk about, because if y'all know in the original affidavit, which y'all have gone over with a few other creators, I'm sure, And probably a lot of y'all seen the interview room. He clearly talked to her. He brought up everything that was in the affidavit, and this was one part of the affidavit. When he pulled the Cellbrite for the phones, right? He did DM's phone, the other roommate, all of their phones were Cellbrited and checked. And that's when they put in the affidavit, in the very beginning for the pre-affidavit, that the suspect is seen on a video of a video, okay? Let's think about that meaning for a minute. And the reason I think about that is because I happened to ask a few questions to some people and that are basically in law enforcement. I've been in law enforcement a long time. Remember, I have family that's in there. I have, a lot. So I asked the question, why would they put this in an affidavit? And he said that all that's saying is that the suspect seen on a video of a suspect seen on a video of a suspect, like a suspect video of a video, right? Basically, it's so hard to get that out right, but that's basically like I do. I film a YouTube video, right? And then I post the video. Then y'all watch the video. Like a video of a video, it's getting shown twice because I'm recording it once and then playing it for y'all on YouTube, uploading it and playing it. Anytime you upload a video, that's based like to Facebook, wherever you may update it. Well, we know someone's app of TikTok was open. They were actually live and doing things on the TikTok app during the time of this, 4:12 a.m. to I think around 4:17 a.m., something like that. I think Xana's TikTok was running. Okay, so when you see suspect of a suspect seen on a video, you think, okay, what does that mean? Well, I'm thinking maybe she was doing, this is just my thoughts though, but I'm trying to think outside the box here. You know how I think, but maybe she was doing a TikTok when this all happened. So not only will they have all the noise from a surveillance camera, they might possibly have everything that went on from Xana's phone as well. And actually, what if he had come down the stairs and she was in the middle of doing a TikTok when all this happened and nobody even realized that she actually caught him on camera? And maybe that's why this judge now is not playing around. Maybe he's finally seen all the evidence and is like, nah. Because think about it. The lawyer is only trying to get his DNA thrown out. Like what created his DNA to be found thrown out. Why? Because she can't erase his DNA being there. Because it's already there. But how much of his DNA is actually there besides just the knife use, the button snap? Which is enough, right? He was very smart about what he did, but he was a criminology major. He was smart about what he did. The one big thing that got him was the knife suit. The accident, I believe, that they were stronger than he thought is what got him. That's what I feel. Well, something happened. Well, did Ethan come upstairs after he heard the noise? And Xana was downstairs. He said, hold on, I'm going to go check on it. And then he meet him somewhere on the stairway like I've thought before and then come running back down. And that may be why there was one unknown male DNA found on that handrail on that stairway. Maybe he was trying to come down the stairs and Bryan was coming behind him and getting him from behind. And that's why he couldn't really defend himself. But then by the time he got to the room to try to protect Xana, it was too late. He'd already probably maybe been, stabbed so many times, trigger warning times 100 million, so many times that it was already getting to him and he couldn't fight well enough. But maybe Xana had her we know she was on TikTok. So maybe she was making a video to upload at the time of all this. And man, oh man, if that be the jackpot. Because I'm trying to look at what the lawyer's doing. The lawyer's not trying to say his DNA is not present. Right? She knows that it's present. It's that she's trying to get everything thrown out because she knows why. Because she knows there's so much of it. And then she's trying to get, that's the main focus right now is, like, using some of the things that she thinks are loopholes, which are not, because they did this case. Even Kaylee's father was upset at how long it was taking, because they were doing such a good job. Like, they were trying to be so perfect for this reason right here. And I've always said, him moving this trial was the biggest mistake he ever made, because you never know what you're going to get on the other side. And he got a judge that don't play. He's got a judge that's probably backed them in the corner. After all these years of getting your way, now you're backed in the corner. And now what do you do? Right? Now what the heck do you do? Because now you're fighting for your life. Basically what you're doing. What he's doing right now is fighting to save himself. They're trying everything in their power to save himself. That's what she's trying to do. She knows they got enough on him. She's not trying to get him off. She's just trying to save him, in my opinion, right? This is my opinion. But that's what I feel she's doing, just like any good lawyer's going to do. But if you look at all the things that led up to this, and all the things that he had done prior, like, it was slowly getting, I don't think this was his first time. I really don't. But a lot of people do, but I don't. I think that other lady, y'all know how I feel about it. I did a video on it. I think that he was part of that in his hometown, and that's why his parents had to testify. And how come his parents, in the beginning, when his parents got to see all the evidence, because they were kind of supporting him at first, his dad and him. And then when they kind of got to go to some of those early ones and see everything, they never went and saw him again. Why? Think about it. I mean, the sister had already pretty much said he had done it. They had already checked his car as soon as he got home, because the sister was so worried that it was him. She was saying it was him, basically, right? She had already called the cops on him years before, for him still on her phone. Like, she had already pretty much made up her mind that it was him. I think the parents had too. But everything in his world was crashing. He was getting fired from the school. He had been from getting into fights with people and his professors, and he was teaching. He just should have buckled down and just done his work and not even, but he didn't do that. Everything was building up in his mind, and then after this happened, everything went crazy in his head. And I think he was so stressed every day that he was going to get caught, because once the white Honda Elantra thing came out, he was like, that's when he was like, at first he was, I'm sure, paranoid, and then that's what got him fired from his job. But think about it. There was how many cameras? Just on the campus side that he leaves in, that he goes by when he leaves his apartment, 5 cameras caught his car. Leaving and coming back, right? All in the time of the unalivings, leaving and coming back. They had him on camera, all the 5 cameras when he left at 2, whatever it was in the morning, 2:58 a.m., I think, something like that, when he left to go towards Moscow. And then when he went, what took him so long to get there? My opinion, I think he stopped and dug a hole somewhere with that shovel that was found in his car, which they should have been able to test the dirt, I hope, and pinpoint an area, because I've always thought they found the weapon, right? I think they have, because of being able to utilize the car data and all that stuff and the phone data. Some were going to be before he turned his phone back on, because he's not dumb. So wherever he turned his phone on, from there you just go backwards, right? Because if he would have done it on the second day, I'm sure he knows in his head they're done tracking him by now. So I don't think he would have done it in the second day. I think he got rid of everything before he got back to his apartment. Like a smart, he had been researching this for a long time. He had been putting posts on Reddit and asking these questions and getting prepared, right? So everything just came crashing down. And I think when he got pulled over twice on the way home, he knew he was done. Because if you notice, everything he did from when he got there was pretty much separate all his trash, wearing gloves, all that stuff, putting it in the neighbor's trash. So I think he was so worried because he knew his DNA was left behind. He knew he left the life sleeves behind. That's why he was so worried. That's why he was wearing gloves every day, everywhere he went. Everything he did, even to Albertsons, he wore gloves. I think also because he had cut himself and that glove was helping hold the Band-Aid down so nobody see the Band-Aid on his hand. or the super glue or whatever he ended up putting on it, because a lot of times Criminal J teach you about super glue, how to super glue a cut up together and it won't, leak or nothing like that, and it'll heal a lot faster and be a lot less scar. I even carry a bottle of that in my bag, that liquid Band-Aids, like super glue is all it is. I carry it for Ruby, like in case she cuts her foot on something, I can just set her down for a minute and brush it on there with the little brush, and it seals it right together. They sell it at Walgreens. I always wondered. I think everything led up to him knowing that he was caught. The white car, I think those 5 cameras, but we also know there was 3 traffic cameras in the Moscow area that would have got him too, the way he was looping, right? Plus the store camera. How many more store cameras? How many more in that area besides Ring camera? How many more Ring cameras around any of those streets and homes? They went to every house in that route. And every route possible and got cameras. So even his long route around, they got him. They got him every time he went around. And that to me, that's a good thing. Oh, that's still burning good. I don't need no wood yet. But you know what I'm saying? Like that, to me, I'm going to try to get you a little better view of it. There you go. And I'm so concerned because I think that TikTok, I really do think Xana's phone might have got him. And that's why it says video over video. Suspects on video. A video of suspect on a video of suspect. I think that's what they're saying by that. But then again, I could be wrong. We won't know until trial. There's going to be a lot that we learn in trial, if it makes it to trial. But y'all know my theory. I don't think it's going to make it to trial. I think he knows the odds are stacked against him just with the knife suits alone. Being a criminal justice major, don't you think he's smarter than that? He thinks he's smarter than everybody anyway. But he knows he made a mistake. And now, the only way to fix that mistake is to not worry about looking guilty or in a way or not guilty. It's about getting that evidence out. She's not sitting here saying, my client wasn't there, he wasn't there. They're not saying any of that. They're not saying it wasn't his DNA. Think about that. Most of us would be like, hell no, that's somehow contaminated or what, you can't do that. They're basically just trying to get everything thrown out above it so they can throw that out as well. If they can throw out the parents and the searching and all this for the genealogy stuff, if they can throw all that out, that eliminates everything else. That's going to even eliminate them to even test the DNA on the knife suits, which no, it won't, because actually that was found at the crime scene. So that's automatically testable because they got warrants in the very beginning for that. So yeah, that is okay. The genealogy tree to track him down, they want thrown out. That will leave only pretty much the knife loose. And he could say that was planted, which he knows won't work because his white car and his phone is tracked so well that what is he going to do? Say his phone was stolen? Well, why are you in your car? And why is your phone in your own car? Following your own car route. Why didn't you turn that phone off and get a new phone? Your technology's smart. You'd have just turned the phone down. Shut the phone down. Somebody stole your phone. And then the TV. I wonder what was on his TV, because he told his defense to go get the TV, the little small box, and then something else, a computer tower, a computer or something. And then I'm wondering, they celebrated like Kaylee's laptop. All the children in the house, all 4 students in the house, they celebrated all their technology, computers, everything. To see, I think, if he had hacked into any of them. Because he was so smart at that. And his Wi-Fi, his phone was on their Wi-Fi several times. Was he viewing them through their own TVs or their own laptops or anything like that? Was he pulling up to see what they were doing? That's how, at first I thought maybe he didn't know Kaylee was there. I think he knows Kaylee was there because he was on their social media. So when she says, hey, I'm coming down to see you a couple of days before that, and then sees them tagging and talking to each other on social media, he knows that she's there. I think his intentions were, the only one I think he wasn't counting on being there was Ethan. Because, the night and then being the fraternity big thing and him having to live at the fraternity. I remember he knew a lot about the fraternity, knowing that he had to be home, right, at the fraternity. Waited that long till like right when Ethan was supposed to be gone. And he wasn't gone yet. And I think really, if you think about the dog barking first on tape or whatever, I think he went straight to that room, Kaylee's room first. And opened the door. and she wasn't in there, and then he went next door. But I mean, we know he went upstairs first. Pretty much that's what they've, I think, gathered is from, allegedly that's what they're saying. I mean, we won't know until it all comes out. But, and the crazy thing about it is if he pleads, takes a deal, we'll never know. It'll never come out. And isn't that tough? We'll never know. We'll be left speculating forever, other than the only thing we'll know is that he said he was guilty to save his own life from fire squad, right? Chicken winged. But I'm curious about that, guys. I really am. I'm really curious about if that, with everything that Steve Gonzalez said about, him messaging her so many times, and the glove outside, and another thing about it, it makes more sense if, say he was to be caught on the TikTok like that. You're not going to see much because he had a surgical mask on. You're going to see his bush. You're going to see what Darlene saw, basically. Bushy eyebrows, a black figure, about 5'10", whatever. You're going to see pretty much what she saw, only a little bit more if, say, his mask had been pulled down or moved from the struggling with Ethan or anything, you might actually catch his face. Wow. Plus, a lot of people said he had scratch marks. It was reported that he had scratch marks in his mugshot still that were healing, but that would have been a long time away. But it is possible, I guess, that they could have lasted that long if they were deep enough. And then the cuts on the hand that we thought we saw in the videos when he got pulled over, they'll know more by scarring on there, how new those cuts are, right? They can put that on the timeline, roughly, but on how the body heals. But, the glove outside, I think there was 2 gloves out. One was found by the trash can by the interview room detective when him and his wife were up there. But one was found, I think, right outside that sliding door. And that's what makes me think he dropped. It was where the footsteps were. Because we know the footsteps came up into the house and it was snowing, remember? And there was water puddles on the floor by the door where I guess he brought the track of snow in when he came in. But, there's a couple of pair of boots, too, that have diamonds like that. Like, kind of not the Uggs and all that, but the like the Doc Martin style kind of, but the other ones that have a little diamond. Plus, there's a Nike shoe that it's like a cross hike shoe, run shoe. It has little diamonds. A lot of your hiking shoes have diamonds. Well, he's a stargazer, right? He likes to hike. So it might be the Nikes that kind of go for all around that he had. And I think that's what he had in the trunk of his car, maybe. I'm wondering if that pattern matches. And then let's talk a little bit about 8 hairs that were found in the vacuum, and then 4 hairs that were found somewhere else in the apartment, plus the 1 animal hair. If any one of those hairs had came back to any one of those 4 individuals, anybody in that household actually, that's a jackpot for sure. And I've always thought that one of them will. We know that he had 2 mattress covers, I think. Why, I don't know, but he had 2 mattress covers. There was some brown spots found on one that were tested positive for blood. I know the ones on the pillow with no case were found tested with blood. Where's the pillow case? If the pillow has blood on it, the pillow case most likely had blood on it too. Where's the pillow case? And that's what I'm saying. Did he come straight in and throw something down like his phone or something and it have blood on it and it get on the pillowcase or something? Or did he actually have trash bags over his clothes and come into his apartment and change in there? And we don't know. I think he put everything out there in the field. That's why he had the shovel and he buried it. But I do think they probably recovered it. And I think that's why he used stargazing, because he's probably digging a hole out in the middle of those pasture out there somewhere to bury all that stuff in. But, and a couple of other things. A lot of people were talking about cartel. Cartel wouldn't have left no witnesses. I can tell you that. Everybody knows that. Come on, guys. They would have left nobody in that house. Nobody alive in that house. 0. They would have not ever left a witness. And we only know about 20%, 19.89% of the evidence is all we know. Not even 20%, guys, what we know what they have. The Judge Hipper agreed that the knife sleuth was enough for probable cause. Yeah, we know that, guys. I know y'all know that. What was this one? Unknown DNA. Yeah, that could be him and Ethan mixed together. I talked about that. Uh, the smart TV, y'all knew about that. The TikTok, we talked about that. We talked about what he had said about his father and being 16 years old, talking about he felt like a piece of meat or whatever. And another thing is, how smart Ted Bundy was wanting to represent himself. A lot of people thought Bryan was going to try to represent himself. Remember, they were comparing him. I've done a video where they kind of compared him. He did do a lot of this similar to. I think the room to room thing is more like Ted Bundy. And who knows? Maybe he thought one was going to be in each room and it was going to be easy. And then the headlamp, like I said, I told you I think he wore a headlamp. Y'all know I have one, and I have one that's a GoPro and a light. It has the red for the camera and the light too. And then, talk about there was two different police, campus police, I think, that found that car, remember? That ID'd the car and then ran the license plate. And then when they ran the license plate, the picture of him looked exactly like what DMX had said he looked like, the suspect looked like. But it was a surgical mask, guys, for some people that thought it was a ski mask. It's in the affidavit. Yeah, okay. When we talked about changing courts, that's the biggest mistake they made. I always thought that way. But there was one that I put on here how to track Bryan. That was Kaylee's parents that showed those. And he did open that door first. He knew she was coming. Yeah, social media. What was that other one? I know I had one down here that I wanted to discuss. Okay, here. Third floor was 2 plus the animal. And that's where the Bruce Murphy was, 2 upstairs. I think that always connected. I think they got him connected that night. I think, and if he connected even with his phone off or on airplane mode, it did. And I'm wondering if he had his phone to take pictures. You know what I mean? He might have took pictures of all this with his phone, guys. He might have just had it on airplane mode, thinking that he was safe because he was tech smart, not realizing that it would pair to her Bruce Murphy Wi-Fi. He might have been taking pictures. We don't know what they discovered. Let's see. The 4 victims, in this are the ones that struggle. I mean, the ones that suffer every time somebody tries to do something, speculate in something that's not, like, if his DNA is found there at the house, I mean, really, it has no reason to be there. And who's going to plant that? They would have left their own DNA behind. That never made sense. A lot of people think that, but there's no way. What are they going to do? Hold it out with a glove on and not even have a latex glove on when they hand it to him? He's going to be like, what are you doing? He's not dumb. He didn't have any friends anyway. But the things that really, like I talked about, the things that really get me is they're not trying to discredit. The only thing they're trying to do is get stuff thrown out. It's like they're not fighting. That's why I think they're gonna. They got that one good hand. What they always say, defense lawyers got one good hand, right? And they got to either play the hand or hold the hand. I think right now they're holding. And I think they're trying everything. That's why she filed those 50. They're filing everything they can file to try to get it. And another thing that I wondered is, what did he tell them? Remember they said he kind of confessed at the house when they first arrested him. Remember that? And I'm wondering, where did I know I put this somewhere. I put, how did they track him? And I know I wrote it down. She locked her door and went to bed. What they found in Bryan's apartment. Okay, here we go. The black glove, the Dickies tag, the 2 receipts for marshals. Wonder what was on those. The fire stick, the computer tower, because they can pull anything off of those, right? The animal hair, the hair samples, the 8, the Walmart ticket for the Dickies, 4 more hairs. then the spots, the dark spots that ended up being blood on the pillow, remember, and on the mattress because they sent everything off. We don't know what all came back on that. Pretty much all his cell phone data they got, I know, and then he spammed Kaylee. I don't know, I was kind of trying to figure out, because it says he was spamming her on Instagram. I guess, who knows? He was trying to do it privately, maybe. And then some of the warrants, we're talking about how it was an ambush and he pre-planned it. He was watching certain things. Right, see, when they take the TV like that and they download all the movie, they can see all his watch history, right? So they know if he was on his computers too, if he was watching these ninja-style videos and all this, like they said, I think kind of slipped out in the beginning. Those kind of things, right? And, the Riddick, of course, he did a lot on Riddick. That was always a big one because he did an awful lot on Reddit. Where is the one? I'm getting mad right now because I can't find this dang thing. Tracking Bryan Kohberger. Here we go. Because I want to make sure I was giving y'all the right numbers on the cameras. Because there was... Okay, this just talks about when he was pulled over twice, then pulled over once in Moscow in August or whatever. The cell towers. Okay, that town, those two towns have a lot of cell towers because of the colleges, right? So he was, his phone was working off of two different towers. And so that's how they were able to pinpoint his location, like down to like ding, 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 right? Plus the car data shows them his whole route. So it'll show them where he stopped, how long he stopped, then when he took off. So that's why I always thought they would have an idea of where he put the stuff, where he buried coveralls or whatever else he had, which I think he had a shower curtain with him. I think he had a couple of things. I think he had plastic on his seats. I think he went over and above and beyond on the smart side. But I think what really got him was you're not always going to get every drop out. And I think the seatbelt probably contained some in the gas or brake pedal because he had to touch that with his shoe. Whether he had a plastic on his shoe or not, it still would have left DNA on the pedal. And those are some of the parts of the car they took completely out of the car for testing and stuff. So I think they had way more in the car. I think they're going to be able to put at least one of those students' DNA either in his apartment or in his car. I believe that they were able to do that. I'm pretty confident that they were able to. I think, having such a strong case like they've said, they have something besides just the DNA on the knife suits. They have to. Plus the cameras. Cameras are always good, but if they can't see in that window, which I think that one that showed him by the store, that they showed us kind of like the fuzzy one, I think they have really cleared that camera out. From what I've been told by a couple of sources, and I think somebody else put this out too, is that they were able to view enough of the figure's face to say that it was him or something like that. I don't know, but we know that all those cameras are going to have him going. The 5 cameras have him going out of Pullman, 2:58 a.m. and have him coming back in around 5 a.m., something like that. 4:48, I think, is when he turned his phone back on, right? Turned it off at 2 something, 2:58 something or whatever. Or 2:46, he turned it on. Or 2:47, he turned it off. And then 4:48, which was 2 hours, I think, later, in 1 minute, he turned it back on. Yeah, I think that's what it was. So if we really get into all that information, we know that there's also a traffic road camera 205 yards from the 1122 King Road. 205 yards, that's what? That's 610 feet, something like that. 615 feet. That's not that far. So I guess that one of the lights up at one of those roads or a corner light, or maybe that's the gas station one. I don't know, but we know that camera got him at least 4 times. And then I think that camera picked him up the next morning too, around 9 something or something like that. So that means when he drove back by the backside of the house, I guess that camera got him as well. But his phone was also on then too. And supposedly he drove by there twice or 3 times that morning. Just was only seen on the news camera once. But I think the phone ping showed him going this way, back that way, and back that way again. And then I guess he went out a different way that morning. And then remember, he went and drove 35 miles away from Pullman to dump at that lake and went across that river bridge and all that stuff and went out that way somewhere, like riding. I think he was trying to create an alibi. I think he was trying to say, look, I've been riding around all these days. I was just cruising everywhere. I think at that point, once it was over, he started to panic. And he said, okay, I need to go here. I need to go there. I need to go make myself known over here. I need to go make myself known over there. I think that's what he was doing, is in his head, was trying to move here, move there, move here, to make it look like he was always on the move. And then I think as the first week went by, he felt confident. Oh, he started getting a little more cocky, right, I think. And then right before the car came out in the second week, I think he was still cocky. And I think once the car came out, that's when I think he was like, uh-oh. He started getting nervous. You know, you would think most people, especially as a criminology major, knowing what law enforcement's doing, you'd think he'd have drove that goddamn car home and brought back another car. Right? Like, if he'd have just taken that car out of there, man, would they have ever even caught him? I mean, probably eventually with genealogy they would have, but you know, it makes you wonder, would they have actually, you know, a lot of people wondered how. Of course, they caught him by genealogy, which I think is the smartest thing they can do. And to me, if it catches a criminal, it's worth it, right? Even if it does take a little bit of time, which they did this relatively fast. I'm sorry, guys, for having not much in the beginning, but a white car and what little bit this guy left, because like I said, he was a criminology major. He was smart, but he even wanted to train the popo, remember, like I said. But he was smart, but then one thing messed him up. And I feel like it was an accident. I think one of them fought back more than he thought and either kicked it out of his hand or something, and it ended up under her. And he in his mind, he was just trying to go forward. I got to get out, right? And then thinking to go downstairs. That's why I don't think I think he thought all girls were in the house, but once he realized each were in the house, I think he was just trying to get out of the house. Because, you know, Ethan was a big guy. And then there's a lot of videos, a couple of I think, what was it, three or four or five different ring cameras in that area. Plus you had that one up in the apartment behind there that everybody used that shows the circle and the circle and the circle, and that matches the noise, the dog barks. They put all that together, but you know, that camera was, 50 feet away from that bedroom wall. So we know that they'll reach that far. Ring cameras will reach 50 to 70 feet. So, you know, that's good. It's good that it had the voice activator, all that on it. So it was able to pick all that noise up, because that's going to be very critical, especially if she was on TikTok and those things were heard, if she was making a video, especially if he was seen on her video. Wouldn't that shock the world? If they've had this whole time and just left us to speculate, which I get it, they have to keep it sealed, but you know, it's something that would have to come out in trial, and I think it's something that probably will never get to come out if he does plea. I think they're going to deal that hand, like I was saying earlier. I think they're going to deal it at the end. I think they're just throwing everything at it, hoping something sticks, and if it does, great, it's a win. If it doesn't stick, then they're going to play that card, you know, to keep him off of the, you know, getting execution. I really think they will keep him. I think they'll do that just to keep him from that, right? I really do, guys. But anyway, that fire's doing good. You know, that's some of the new stuff I wanted to talk about on this case. I feel like there's so much out there on it that eventually, if it was a TikTok, great. That would help a lot. The laptops, I'm sure, are going to show something. At least show the pairing of the devices and how many times, and was he ever hacked in? That's what they want to know. Was he ever hacking into their stuff? If he was ever linking into their stuff through there, we know he was really smart at that. So if he was ever sitting out there linking into like their phones or the computers or their TVs, like trying to create something, you know, and then did he have a little security camera? He was really good with those. Did he have one of those up in one of those trees behind that house that was shining that he could watch and learn their routines? I still think he was doing something like that. And if you think about it, 12 trips over a couple of months, That's coming about every what? 4, 5, 10 day, 8 days, something like that, to where he was changing batteries out in that little camera. And that way he could keep watching that area through the camera. Because he was, like I said, he was doing it to that one girl. He was doing. There's no telling how many people he was spying on. People could put cameras in my tree right there, and I'd never know it. They're so small, and they could be watching me all the time. And you just never know in this world, right? It's scary to think about. I mean, really to think about, it's scary. And I think this one is going to be similar to the Maddie Soto. Because I think Stefan's starting to plead out. I think a lot of people feel he's going to plead out. But I think DM really saved this case. Thank God she wasn't unalived as well, because she very easily could have been. I think at the point he was trying to get out, and that's why. But, my point of having that headlamp, which I think he was really smart at that. Because you got to remember, he liked to hike. He liked to go out in trails and star gauge and all. So he was familiar with using headlamps. I wish I had mine out here. I was just going to show y'all a quick demonstration. Let me go grab mine real quick so I can show y'all this. Hold on just a second, guys. Oh, man. This is a good one, but all right, guys, I'm back. Hold on. I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. I thought about demonstrating. I was thinking about the other day. I was like, man, I'm going to demonstrate this stuff. I need to charge my wireless ones too. I have some Bose ones. But look, I have it up here, right? Say that you're to go in to something, right? We use them for filming, or like if we go searching in caves or anything like that, we'll put these on, right? This is just basically an 800. No, this is 1600. But they're so small. You could get them so small. On this one, you can adjust it any way you want to, right? But watch this, how quick. Okay, if somebody was to come in and you're laying down asleep and they hit that like that in your face, what do you see? You see how quick that is? You see nothing. That's what I wanted to explain to y'all, is how these things can really affect somebody. I mean, if you're laying down asleep, right, like this, just think about it. I'll do it from back here, watch. See how y'all lost it? Y'all couldn't see nothing, right? That's how quick it is. And if you get over somebody's bed in the dark and you turn that on, because it has another side. I can do this one and you still can't see. But if I do the lower light, right? If I do that lower beam, like this one, hold on, let me find the button again. Y'all can't see my face. Can't say anything. Let me take that off. But anyway, that was my point I was trying to make, was y'all see why I think that he probably used a headlamp. That's the only way that he was able to do that. And they can't see him back, because that light would be blinding you so bad. And especially that one's batteries are weak. Like, I haven't charged the batteries in this thing in probably 3 weeks. Imagine if it was full of battery, right? That's the point I wanted to make. That's why I was hoping y'all would stick around to understand that. I mean, that's, like if I do it over here, right? Like if I do it this way with the other part, right, you can see so much like that, right? And that's just turning on one. If you turn it on the top and the bottom, you really can't see anything. But that's what I wanted to discuss, guys. It's almost an hour. I didn't know it was going to take that long, but a good fire chat. So y'all guys have a wonderful night. Allegedly, these are my opinions, my theories, my thoughts, my free speech, not to reflect the channel. Y'all's comments, y'all's alone, not to reflect the channel. We do our research together because we're a big-hearted little family. Trigger warning times 100 million. Justice for Maddie, Kaylee, Xana, Ethan. I think the truth will come out. I think he will plead out. I don't think he knows. I think he realizes he's backed in the corner and that this judge is not going to prolong this. They're not going to have time to throw more stuff at it. If you notice, they're waiting until now that the pressure's on to start throwing all these things at it. And none of them are sticking. He's not going to allow it to stick. It's going to go this time. No more delays, no more waiting. I think this judge has seen all the evidence. He's seen all he needs to see. He's like, get it over with. This man, these families have been waiting long enough. So justice for Idaho 4, all y'all little angels, y'all deserve justice. And I pray that Judge Hipper is going to make sure that this thing goes the way it's supposed to go. And who knows, he could plead next week and be done. And it'll all be over with and we wouldn't even have a trial. So just think about that for a minute. Anyway, guys, say your prayers for all the ones that need justice. They do need justice. They're voiceless. They need justice. Shout out to all the families. My condolences to all their families again. I pray that justice is coming soon. We know that the system is going to work. We trust in our system. The DP's on the table. The fire squad's on the table. There's a reason for this. If they didn't have enough information, they wouldn't put the DP in this case. I'm sorry. Look at Stephen Stern. How much data is just on his one phone and Google Drive? Imagine what they have on Bryan Kohberger. Think about it. Anyway, guys, y'all have a good night. We love y'all guys. We'll talk on the next one. All right, guys. Y'all be good. Bye.